Hi everyone. In this video, we'll explore the concept of environment variables in QTP. Well, we have learned the concept of variables, and we have stored different values and variables. We have also used those values within our script. So there's another powerful concept in QTP called environment variables. Okay, so before we talk about environment variables, let's try to understand why we need to use environment variables. Instead of giving you a description of the benefits of using environment variables in QTP, let's try to look at a quick example of using and the benefit of using environment variables. So the variables that we have here, email ID and password, these are the two variables we're using, right? So everything that we have in this script in one action, which is action 1. So now what if we had two different actions? What if, based on our test case and needs, we needed to divide this script into two actions? Let's say one for login and one for sign out, or one for checking the email box and one for checking the password box. So we will also learn about inserting actions in this video. So hit insert and call to new action. Check to keep this reusable action checked and name it as action 2 at the end of the test. That means at the end of action 1, after computing action 1, execute action 2 and click on OK. So now we have action 2. Let's go back to action 1 and let me split action 1 and 2. So I will keep action 1 until the enter email ID, and from the password forward I'll take everything, copy everything. Actually, I'll cut everything and I'll paste it on action 2. Now I've divided my script into two actions, okay? This is how you divide into two actions, and I can go back to action 1, my first action, action 1. And so here's my first action, action 1. If I try to run this script, let's see what happens. So navigating to facebook.com. Entering the email ID. It just entered the email ID. Okay, so we have an error. It says which it is failed to test run due to unknown error. So if I click on stop, let's investigate why did we get this error. So basically, action 1 ran fine. Action 1 opened the browser and entered the email ID. Then it went on to executing action 2, right? And then action 2, in the very first line, it failed because QTP does not really understand this variable right here. It does not understand this variable because this variable that we have, pass_word, is in action 1. This is only usable within action 1 only. So we can only use that within this script, within this action. We cannot use the value of this variable in another action. So in this case, what we have to do is we have to define this variable again in action 1. Well, in action 2, actually. Let's again say option explicit, dim, pass underscore word, and we put the value for pass underscore word. And let's close the browser and try to run this now and see if it works this time. So navigating in Facebook. Okay. So now it still fails, but this time we have a more specific error. It says that my browser is not identified. This is a benefit of having option explicit. We understand that we have a defined and declared password, which is this, but we did not declare my browser or my page, so it will still fail. So we need to get all those variables and those values from including the my browser and my page. We need to get everything from action 1, and we need to place it in action 2. So now that we did that, let's close the browser and do a quick run. We copied all those variables and the values, so navigating to the browser, entering email ID, password, clicks on login, checking for the error message. Now it should be closing the browser. It closed the browser and we have a test log, which is error message exists, which means that everything passed. So now, this is how you are going to use variables in different actions. Let's assume I have a bigger script, which is much more realistic. If you were testing much bigger scripts with 4, 5, or even 10 actions that you're dealing with, then imagine you have to copy these variables and the values of these variables. Right now I'm using just 2, like 4 variables: email ID, password, my browser, my page. So imagine you have to copy these variables and values over and over within your different actions. So that's why we have environment variables. Environment variables are reusable within any actions of the script. So if we have another action, you can use the value of environment variables. This is why it is named environment. Environment variables can be reused throughout the script within any action. So to be able to use environment variables, click on File. This is one way of getting to it. Click on File, and then Settings. Then if you click on Environment, and as you notice, there are 2 kinds of environment variables in QTP. We have built-in environment variables, which means QTP already created some environment variables for you that you can use. For example, the operating system and the action name. And if we go down, there's test directory. And if you want to print, let's say you want to print the test name, you can do that. So these are all these built-in, predefined environment variables. Okay. Now if I click on this, if I click on this menu option and I click on user defined, here I can define my own environment variables. So I can write my own environment variables in this area. So I basically have to click on this plus sign, over here, if I click on this plus sign, I can go ahead and create my own environment variables. So in the next video, we'll continue with environment videos. Thank you.